Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Insta360 Institute. Today, we're going to be training you on the power of VR training. There's been so much discussion and movement within the education space on how to incorporate VR into whether it's corporate trainings or other use cases. We thought it would be valuable to spread the knowledge and share with you all some of the ways that you can easily capture VR trainings across the board. And we'll show you a lot of different verticals that are benefiting from immersive learning. And today, again, I'm Michael. You probably have seen me before if you've taken another webinar. I'm the VP of Insta360, and I help facilitate these webinars with our partners to give you all a little bit of extra knowledge on how to use your 360 cameras. Today we have a special guest joining us. It's Danny de Bruijn. Danny is the co-founder of Warp VR. Danny, you want to come say hi?
Hi, everyone. I'm Danny de Bruijn, one of the co-founders and the Chief Experience Officer at Warp VR. And I have more than 10 years of filming experience, always focused on how to move and touch people emotionally with stories. And now I bring emotion into learning, but I will tell you more about that later.
Awesome, Danny. We're so excited to have you here today and learn more about Warp VR. The platform looks incredible, and we've already received a lot of interesting questions that we're gonna work with you in the end. Anybody that submitted a question, I just want to say thank you so much. We ended up vetting them all, and we had a lot of really great ones come in. We pulled what we thought were the most common ones, and we're going to save those till the end. Also, a quick note, make sure you stay till the end. We're going to be giving you a very special promo if you're interested in purchasing your first Insta360 camera to start creating your own VR learning experiences. So we'll do that towards the end. Today, we have it's kind of a packed agenda. We have this presentation is probably the most information-rich presentation we've done thus far out of any webinar. We're going to try to go as quickly as possible through a lot of the slides to make sure that you guys get all of the info. If you miss something, the link will be sent to you at the end of the presentation. So don't worry about it. You'll have a chance to go through and dig deeper in all of this information. And if anything is unclear at any point, please feel free to reach out to myself or Danny. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have about any of the material that we cover. When you look at what the COVID-19 pandemic has done to the way that many companies work, there's a big dilemma that they're facing. It's essentially that the workforce needs new skills, or you need to be able to learn new skills or upgrade whatever the company implements on a wide scale, but you may not be able to do that in person. And so what the pandemic has done is essentially thrusted VR learning into the spotlight as the ultimate way of covering ground without being in person. And we're going to show you how VR training is actually benefiting companies in the long run. This is some interesting data that we pulled off from PwC. We're seeing that not only is it faster to train in VR than in a classroom, but there's much more confidence in skills that are learned from VR training. Folks are more emotionally connected to the classroom, and they're more focused than traditional in-classroom or in-person learnings. All of this is saying is that VR is not a backup plan to learning. It's actually a new way forward, and it works. It works a lot better than traditional learning, and we'll show you why. A lot of it is due to these tools, right? If any of you have taken our previous webinars, these intro slides will be somewhat similar, but there's a lot of new folks that are joining, so I thought it was valuable to still cover and give you a basic introduction to Insta360 and how our cameras are enabling this type of new education. I'll try to go through these as quickly as I can because Danny has some really great information to share with you guys. But at the end of the day, the right tool is there for you regardless of what you're doing. For this webinar in particular, we're going to be focusing on our Pro 2 and Titan cameras. And the reason for this is at the end of the day, you want to create the highest grade content for VR learning in order to immerse folks the most. You can obviously create immersive content with any 360 camera that we make, but the best content will come from the Pro 2 and the Titan. Insta360, as many of you may know, we are the #1 360 camera globally. We're sold in over 158 countries, and we're continuing to grow that every day. So no matter where you are, you'll probably be able to pick up an Insta360 camera quite easily. And the reason for our market dominance is we put a lot of our efforts in R&D. 60% of our company are R&D and engineering. That means we are continuing to innovate. We always are on the front lines of creating new camera technology. We're always continuing to update our existing products. So one really great feedback from our end users is that, hey, I bought this Pro 2 camera a year ago, but you guys have since made a number of firmware updates, and I feel like I have a totally different camera. It says a lot that we put so much effort into R&D, and we have over 400 employees globally in 3 countries, and we're also continuing to grow that. So the first camera that I mentioned is the Pro 2. This is essentially the industry standard for professional 360 cameras. It has essentially every feature that you would need in order to easily create powerful VR content. These are just some of them. We'll get more into detail on why these features matter, but the 3 features that are probably most important here is Farsight Live monitoring, and that's going to create a much more simple production process for you, so you can actually see what you're capturing without being in your own shot. Flow state stabilization is readily important because of the ability to now capture moving shots is creating a better immersive learning experience, and the ability to capture up to 8K 3D VR content, 2D or 3D content is creating a much more cohesive and high resolution learning environment for students. There's also a lot of other great features, and we'll share that with you later. The Titan is the next step up, right? The difference between the Pro 2 and the Titan is essentially resolution. The stabilization is the same, but you're going to get a much higher quality video, and you'll be able to shoot in low light. So with the Titan, you have 8 micro four thirds cameras compared to 6 cameras on the Pro 2. The sensor is much larger, so low light capturing, clarity in indoor lighting, and also color grading. You'll get 10-bit color out of it. So depending on what your job is, if you need some advice on which one to grab, we're happy to advise you. For example, our friends at PwC, for all of their internal corporate training, they prefer the Titan because they want the highest resolution camera that you can get. Others have use the Pro 2 no problem, and Danny can talk about what he uses on a daily basis as well. So I'm going to give you a little bit of basic info on the cameras, right? How to prep your cameras in order to create your VR training. This is the most important thing to start. Data. So always make sure you're using the recommended cards. For the Pro 2, we're recommending the SanDisk Extreme Pro cards. With the Titan, the Titan takes 9 full-size SD cards, and the card that we're recommending is this Panasonic SDXC. Now, with the Pro 2, the 64 gig cards will last you about an hour. For Titan, the Titan takes 9 full-size SD cards, and data-wise, it doesn't matter if you're using the 32 or 64 gig cards; they're all compatible. You can even use up to 1 terabyte. The only thing is just think about how much footage you actually need to record, and that will determine what size cards you need to get. 64 gigs on the Titan will give you about 40 minutes as a rule of thumb. Personally, I like to have the 128 gig cards in my camera when I record, so I don't have to worry about running out of space or carrying around a backup set of cards. Another important accessory for you to consider is the tripod or monopod that you're going to use. Now, the things to consider are Stability, portability, these are all things that play in. You know, are you traveling with your tripod to create a shot? What camera are you using? If you're using the Pro 2 versus the Titan, you might want to consider a different tripod because of the weight difference. What price point are you willing to spend on it, and height, uh, height for recording is really important, and something that Danny can talk about as well. The rule of thumb here is, I like to use the VR tripod with a low profile on the bottom because it's easier to remove in post. And something like this, a traditional tripod that has a wider stance, you'll have more ground in your nadir to remove, and the handle may appear in the shot as well. So try to get something along the lines of this Manfrotto monopod. And then power. This is a really common question that we get, is how do I keep my camera powered? There's a number of different options. The official battery, both on the Pro 2 and the Titan, will get you about 45 to 50 minutes of recording if you're just using that. You can also purchase a multi-battery charging dock that we have for the Pro 2. We also have a single battery charging dock for the Titan. If you want to be able to switch batteries back and forth, and I would recommend getting this so you can have multiple batteries. If you don't have the ability to charge your camera or charge batteries at the location, just purchase extra batteries and you should be good. Now, there are options for powering the camera via external battery pack. You can get a V-mount battery. The minimum requirements for Pro 2 are 12 volts or 5 amps, and Titan is 14.4 volts and 7 amps. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be running external battery. And there's a DC 5.5 to 2.5 millimeter male power cord that you can buy to do the conversion. The other way of powering is each camera actually has a built-in power supply, so you can plug it in to house power, and you could run the camera pretty much forever. So you have a lot of options there. Another common question that we get is external audio equipment. So, you know, if you're, this is something that every individual is going to need to think about. The best situation for them. If you are going, the cameras do have internal mics. Ambisonic recording is available in Pro 2 and Titan. Now, if the fans are spinning on that camera, the audio is not going to be great. So you can turn off the Pro 2's fan for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. So if you're going to be shooting short clips, then the mic on the Pro 2 will be usable. And these are the preferred recorders that we like to use. I use the Zoom H3 VR. It's a really low cost external mic. I believe it's around $200. And each mic comes with a small quarter 20 to quarter 20 mount that allows you to attach it to the camera. There's also a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, both on the Pro 2 and the Titan, that will allow you to connect the mic directly to the camera. So we've built the cameras to be really compatible and convenient with third-party microphones. Now, so I mentioned this at the very beginning when we were talking about features of the Pro 2. This has essentially changed the game for live monitoring for 360 cameras. Before Farsight, there was really no way to live monitor except if you were really close to the camera and you were connected to the camera's Wi-Fi. Now you're getting around 300 meters of ground to ground and about a kilometer of ground to air. So you'll be able to see exactly what the camera is seeing in a fully stitched viewfinder. Without needing to be in your own shot. That's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. You're not shooting in the blind anymore. It's a really big game changer, especially for folks that don't have a lot of experience creating professional 360 content. Anybody that purchases a Pro 2, I recommend without a doubt that you get the Farsight. This to me is right up there with long range live monitoring. Stabilization adds a whole new layer to the content that you can create. Before 360 cameras had really good stabilization, a lot of the VR content that you were seeing was just fixed, right? It was stationary, it was panning from one side to the other. it was effective, but it was not as effective as if you're moving the camera. Imagine you're going through a warehouse and you need to be able to give a tour of various oil and gas facilities, or even of an airplane cockpit, or other parts of an airplane, and you need the camera to move. If your footage is unstable, it's going to make the viewer nauseous. It's going to prevent them from being fully aware of the content that you're creating. And so stabilization with our flow state stabilization technology has changed the game for what you can do with immersive learning. All of this makes it much more comfortable to watch on a VR headset, and viewing platforms are something that we'll talk about as well. But at the end of the day, if folks are getting a good quality immersive experience, they're going to be more attentive to the content that you're creating instead of thinking about how nauseous they are watching it. Here's a couple of really important tips for ensuring that you're getting stabilization. Now, our flow state and gyroscope, they do a lot of the heavy lifting, but there's obviously things that you can look at in order to create an even better experience. So the first one is movement. So if you're walking with the camera, take small steps, walk with your knees bent. It's the same thing as if you're shooting with a traditional camera. It's the same protocol that you would follow. Or you can use a monopod counterweight to help with your balance. If you're using a VR dolly, think about what kind of tires you're using. If you're on smooth road, right, you could probably use more low profile tires. If you're going off road, you're probably going to need off road tires. It's basic logic. Now, if you're mounting it on a drone or on a car or on a helicopter, you might run into the problem of high frequency vibrations. And in order to remove the high frequency vibrations, you need a dampener or a vibration absorption plate that's going to reduce any of those vibrations. So now we're going to get to the meat. We're going to introduce Danny again. Danny's going to pop in and he's going to show you all how he personally creates immersive learning content across a number of different verticals and industries, and it's really awesome what you guys have been doing, Danny. I'm gonna mute my video. I will be back at the end of the presentation to do some Q&A and talk about the special promo that we're gonna offer you guys today. Take it away, Danny.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to tell you more about the power of VR. But first, I'd like to give a small introduction to Warp VR. And over the last 5 years, we have worked with medium and large-sized organizations, targeting their challenge to train their employees anytime, anywhere, with story-based immersive training courses. And we have seen great results in terms of employee knowledge retention, cost savings, and engagement. And also in which the ease the courses can be created and managed have turned our clients into fans, not only doing VR, but actually embedding it in their organization. So first, what do we mean with VR training? How does it look like? How does it work? And I'd like to show you that with a video.
How BT retail staff gains confidence in handling customers. In this VR training scenario, you are a sales employee in a telecom store. A customer walks in. She looks agitated, and it's up to you to help her out. But how? What is the right way? And how do you handle customer complaints?
I'm fine, I'm just really in a rush. Can you actually help me? You've taken £500 more off me than you said you would. I want an immediate refund. You've put me in my overdraft.
By playing this interactive virtual reality training, retail staff is more confident in interacting with customers. They are taught how to tackle customer questions, which translates to improved customer satisfaction and sales. This VR solution enables British Telecom to train not only more often, but also at those moments that works best for the stores. Staff can be trained before the store opens, in off-peak hours, or after it closes. Be confident, learn differently.
So what you just saw is a nonlinear scenario, which means one starting point and multiple ending points. It's a training based on 360-degree video with an interactive layer on top of it, so you can make choices. And the result of this training is that the employees feel more confident to deal with angry customers. It's a good example of how you can use VR for training. but we have found that it's quite difficult to make such trainings and also to get the trainings to the employees. So therefore, we build a solution, and that's called Warp Studio. In Warp Studio, you can easily create interactive and nonlinear VR training based on 360-degree video, and you create the trainings in our Flow tool. We often hear from our clients that it's very easy to use, but I will show you that later in a live demo. Once we have created a VR training course, you can easily and quickly send it to the employees. They will receive an email with instructions to play the VR training. And finally, when the employees have played the training, you can analyze the data of all people that played. For example, you can see which trainings they have played and which choices they have made and how long they have played. It's super interesting as a creator to see how people play your scenario. This way you can change the training if necessary, and you will learn more on how to improve your training when you create other trainings. It's also very valuable for the employer because they want to know who did the training and how they did it. A nice anecdote is that we created a evacuation training for a client, and it's normally quite difficult to see which choices people make during evacuation on an individual level. But our analytics clearly showed that there was a large group that was taking the wrong exit. And that raised the question, are we going to retrain the whole group, or are we going to take a look at the protocol and change that? Super interesting. So you can play the VR training in our app WarpPlay, and we support all major mobile VR platforms. So you can play the VR training on Oculus, on Pico, on iOS and Android. Many of our clients use learning management systems, and that's why we made it possible to integrate very easily. How does that work? The employee gets a 6-digit code via the LMS, with which they can log into our app or WarpPlay. And once they've played, the data is sent back to the LMS and eventually to Warp Studio. And last, we have the Warp Store. That's a library of off-the-shelf training courses, and that allows our clients to easily and quickly start and try VR training. But enough about our products. Let's see why we find VR training so interesting and why you should also do something with VR training. And to answer that, let's first compare VR training to other current forms of learning. For instance, e-learning. Yes, it's very scalable, but not that engaging. People often see e-learning as a must-do. And it turns out that the completion rate of e-learnings is only about 4%, and with us, that is 40%. Classroom, you can easily train large groups, but the disadvantage is that it takes a lot of time. So you have to plan a lot. Think of the teachers, locations, and travel time. Instructor Lab is very effective to learn from an expert, but it's not available on demand. PowerPoint is ineffective in sharing factual information, as we do right now, but very much focused on theory, and where we believe that you learn the most from making mistakes. And last is the on-the-job, learning by doing. It's super effective, but not that scalable. And of course, all forms of learning have their own advantages, and we see VR as part of a blended solution. But with VR, it's really possible to learn differently. A good example of this is an HSE training about dropped objects. So let's take a look at that one.
Finally, you're late. Look, I need you to get the pump back up again, otherwise we'll be in big trouble. Tom, I want you to go along as well to provide advice, because I know you have more experience with this.
No problem.
Okay? Good luck.
Let's go.
How can I help?
Yeah, we need to fix the pump. We're here to pick up some tools.
Okay, let me get them.
Thanks.
Ah, here you go.
Great, thanks a lot.
Good luck.
Thanks. Grab those, let's go. Hey, Hey, watch out for that box. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You know, you always got to keep your eyes open for all kinds of dangers in the workplace. Thanks so much. Grab these tools, let's get out of here. We're in a hurry.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, hurry up. Otherwise, the supervisor's going to be breathing down both our necks. Yeah? Great. Let's get this pump fixed. All righty. Take a look here. Oh! Oh!
So this is a HSC training on dropped objects. Employees must be aware of things that can cause serious damage or injury. And traditional e-learning tries to teach awareness with photos or videos and questions like, what is unsafe in this situation? And we see that people with a lot of e-learning experience also ask this kind of questions in VR. But I think VR can be much more effective if you use it differently, because this question immediately implies that there is something unsafe. And in real life, things go wrong when people don't think about safety. And that is why in our training, we tell the player to fix a pump. And there's a lot at stake, because if the pump is not fixed quickly, you will lose an important customer. When the player arrives at the pump, he can quickly select the pump, or if he takes the time to look around, you can see that there is a camera hanging loose and select that. And you've seen what happens when you select the pump. I've also written a blog about the difference between e-learning and scenario-based learning, and I will share that at the end of the webinar. For this client, making emotion part of learning has been extremely important to choose for VR. Other benefits of VR are scalability. It doesn't matter how many employees you have to train, the training courses are scalable. So large groups or small divided groups are no problem. Digital. You can also be trained anywhere, anytime, without travel time. Impact. The impact on production is minimal compared to other forms of learning. So because there's no travel time and the operation does not have to be interrupted. For example, with an evacuation training, everyone has to go out. With VR, you can be trained on an individual level. Reality, video is as real as it gets. And it's now made really easy by our friends at Insta360 to film 360-degree video. It's also cost efficient. Filming a training often only takes 1 day. And because the employees don't have to travel to a training facility, there are no travel costs, and there is a lot less planning required. And last is time to market. Because you can produce a training relatively quickly, you can quickly respond to trends and customer needs. And also during COVID, people everywhere have to be trained, retrained, or onboarded. And it's now quite difficult. It's a big challenge to do that because of COVID. And yes, the pandemic has also slowed down a lot. For example, using a shared VR headset has become more complicated. But fortunately, there are companies such as VR Cover that offer a solution to make your VR headset more hygienic. The pandemic has also accelerated things. Many companies are now forced to digitize, and it's a huge challenge to train on the job. VR is the perfect solution for that. VR makes it possible to do role play during the pandemic. And I have also a video with an example to show you on that.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. How are you? Welcome.
Get straight to business. I am extremely busy. This will only take a few minutes to discuss.
Okay, Sarah. I appreciate you taking the time for this meeting.
Thank you. Can you tell me what it's about? My manager hasn't told me anything yet, and I have another important meeting to get to.
I can imagine you have your own ideas. However, at the moment, these ideas are not important.
Who are you to tell me my ideas are not important? Who here has years of experience and knows this company in and out? Why are we even having this conversation if everything has been decided already? I'm sorry, but if this is the approach, then I'm not willing to participate. Find someone else who is willing, and good luck with that.
When you need to collaborate, it's important to be clear that the goal of the project is not to be discussed. Your response has given Sarah the idea there's room for discussion. To avoid this, be clear about the goal and explain it in more detail.
I can imagine you have your own ideas. The scope of this project, however, is fixed.
What? You've got to be kidding me. Management has not thought this through at all. There are so many other ways we could be doing this. We just need to invest more and not cut costs.
This is a training part of a course, so multiple VR trainings, and we created this together with our partner Own It. They offer off-the-shelf, high-quality training courses. A good example of how you can learn more about soft skills through role play, but in a scalable way. And research shows that it's effective. And Michael has already mentioned this. What really stands out for me is that VR-trained employees were 275% more confident to apply on what they have learned after training. And that's the ultimate thing what you're looking for as a trainer. Not only transfer your knowledge, but also give the people the confidence to apply it, to act on it when it really matters. PwC also looked at the retention and found there is no significant benefit. But in their research, they are talking about relatively short-term retention, so 30 days. The Academic Medical Center of Amsterdam has also researched the retention, but the long-term retention. And they found an increase of 40% in remembering procedures. The AMC used one of our VR trainings for the research, but it should be noted that these studies are about the content of a training, not about VR training itself. But the results of those different studies do tell us that what the potential is of VR training. And that brings me to the next question, and that's what makes a VR training effective. And to answer that question, I want to take you back in time, and even before WARP existed. Myself and the other co-founders already made some VR trainings together. Our first VR training was a CPR training for medical staff of the Academic Medical Center of Amsterdam. It's a VR training in which the procedure up to CPR is trained. And during the training, you're having an appointment, but suddenly an old gentleman falls to the floor. And all kinds of bystanders come by and look at you to take action. The question is whether you still know the procedure under those circumstances. And when we were done creating that training, we created a training commissioned by the Dutch Fire Department on fire safety for citizens. And in this training, you are at home with your family, with your partner and child. And at night, your partner wakes you up because your partner smells smoke. And it's up to you to get your family in safety. And as Steve Jobs said so beautifully, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. And looking back on our first scenarios, you can see that emotion plays an important part in those trainings. We use storytelling to get emotion in our trainings. And emotion is an important factor in how our brains store information. And numerous studies have shown that the most vivid memories tend to be emotional events. So they are more likely to be recalled more often and with more clarity than neutral events. In short, stories just stick. For centuries, people have used stories to pass on knowledge. In addition to emotion, there are also other important factors. But given the time, I cannot go into deeply, but I will highlight some key factors. And those are presence, challenge, and storytelling. Let's begin with presence. In our trainings, you're not a spectator, but you're a participant. So you're part of a story, and you make choices, and those choices have consequences, and you will experience those consequences. So you will really learn by doing. Challenge. Challenge is key to intrinsic motivation. If it's too easy, the players will get bored and lose interest and stop playing. If it's too difficult, they will become frustrated and therefore stop playing. And last is storytelling, and I already said it. It enables us to bring emotion into learning. It provides a unique way of training emotion in a scalable way. It improves engagement and ensures that we remember what we have learned better. We have learned a lot the last 5 years, and I would like to give you some tips and tricks that we've learned. Let's start with a typical workflow. So we don't start with filming, we start with writing the training. We do that in Warp Studio, and we do that together with the client. So we bring the knowledge of VR training, and the client brings the knowledge about the training itself. It's a real co-creation. When the training is ready, you can export the script from Warp Studio, so you know exactly what to do and what to film. Filming itself often just takes 1 day. After you uploaded the videos to Warp Studio, it's a matter of publishing the training and you are ready to play. It's ready to play. Of course, it depends on the size of the training, but on average, we see that we have a training ready within 3 weeks. And I've also some tips on filming. We also use a tripod, or we use a hi-hat, so a small tripod with a monopod on top. For VR training, because you watch it a lot in VR headsets, and a lot of people without any VR knowledge are also watching the VR trainings, we've seen that with a fixed camera position, the fewest people suffer from nausea. And we also don't adjust the height during the training, during the filming, because then the employee gets the feeling of getting bigger or smaller during the training, and that's not what we want. When we press record, we call out the scene and take number, and that helps you a lot during post-production. We use the exported script from Warp Studio because that comes with a shot list. And we write down what our preferred scene is during filming. That also speeds up the post-production. And we use a video loop. So when you play a training, at a certain moment, the question will appear. And you need time to read the question, read the answers, and think of your choice. We choose to not pause the video because I have the feeling that without video and audio, you will lose the tension that you have built during the training. So we loop the video, and that means that we repeat a part of the video over and over again. So when an actor is done with his script, we record an extra 20 seconds. So the actor, during those 20 seconds, the actor doesn't freeze. He can keep moving, and he can ask and repeat his question when it's a stressful situation. But it's after those 20 seconds that we call out cuts. And Insta360 Farsight, Mike already told you a lot about it, but we cannot do without Insta360 Farsight. It's so helpful to see what you are filming in a good resolution and frame rate. So if it fits within your budget, it's really worth it. And my last tip is that you can use our tool immediately for your clients. We have a special program for 360-degree content makers, instructional designers, and people who know a lot about implementing VR within organizations. And we call these partners the Warp experts. They use our software for their clients and receive a kickback on the sold licenses. But that's not all. We also have a large network of specialists worldwide, and they share their experiences in our Warp Expert community. And we also share our knowledge in the community, of course. So if you want to know more about this, please visit our website. And that brings me now to a live demo of Warp Studio. So when you're logged in Warp Studio, this is what you see. That's the scenario overview. So here you see all the trainings that you have in your account, and we call it training a scenario. So that's on top here. So you see now 7 different trainings with the cover photo, the title, and the amount of scenes. You also see the status of every scenario. So you see 2 are published, which means that they are ready to play. They are sent to the employees. And the one in between on the top, it says unpublished changes. And that means that after publishing, I've made some changes and didn't publish that yet. So if you want to create a new training, on the top right, you can click on the red button. Here you can add a cover photo, a title, so let's say webinar test, and a scenario description. And when clicking on confirm, it will open the flow tool. And now you see an empty canvas where you can create the training. By double clicking anywhere, you can select a scene. And a scene is a moment of choice within VR. So it's a video with the interactive layer on top of it. So for instance, let's say I create a direction scene. Here I can add a title or location. So for instance, in the middle of the shop, I can add a scene description. So you are standing in the middle of the shop. A customer walks in and looks angry. And I can here put the question to the player. For instance, go to the customer and hit save. Now I have a scene in my flow tool, and I can click and drag it to place it anywhere in the flow tool. I can click on the A, because that's the answer that I created, and release it anywhere to create a new scene. So for instance, a multiple choice scene. Here I can say in front of the customer, and here you are standing in front of the customer. And the question, so the top 2 boxes is only for you as a creator in Warp Studio, and the information in the answer is what the player will see in VR. So here I can ask, what do you say? And for instance, hello, how can I help you? And maybe a B, you are looking, it looks like you are in a rush. It looks like you are in a rush. Can I help you? Or maybe it's nothing. I hit save, and now I created a second scene. We're connected. When I click on it, the card will turn around, and you can see the question and the different answers that you can select. Now you can repeat this to create a scenario. And I already did that. So let me go through the scenario that I created already. And this is how it looks like. So it's a nonlinear story. One starting point, different ending points. When I click on the card, it will turn around. So it says the question and the different answers. And when you created this in Warp Studio, you can export the script, start filming, uploading the videos. You do that in the media page. And here you see, for instance, 3 videos. I can click on a video, play the video to see what happens in the video. And I can add it to a scenario. That's the customer service scenario. And I can add it to a scene, and that's this scene. And now it's connected to that scene. Now, you do this for all the videos. So again, customer service. And this is the 3rd scene. And when you have done that for all videos, you can go back to the scenario. You see with the yellow icon that the videos are connected to the scenes, and you can go to the scene page. When I scroll down, you see the video, so I can play it again. With this button, I can determine when the question will fade in. That's right now. And this bar, you can change the loop. So every time it's at the end, it will start here again, and this will loop over and over again. You can also place the interactive element somewhere in the video by clicking and dragging it. When you have done this for all videos, it's a matter of hitting publish. And it takes you to 3 steps. The first step is how the scenario will look like in the app. So it's the cover photo, the title, and the scenario description. And this is what also the player sees in the app. So when this looks fine, so I go to the next step. And these are some checks on the scenario itself. So it's checking if there are any missing videos, missing links, but I have all green, so that's good. Go to the last step, and here I can determine which group will have access to this scenario. So I select a group, hit publish, and now I just have to wait a few minutes for it to get published. So it says published now. All the players that are in this group that I selected will get an email that there is a new training ready to available for them to play, and they receive the instructions on how to play that scenario and download the training. I already did that. So when you click on a trainee, you can see different analytics. Now I played 3 times the same scenario. This is my high score. I can see which choices did I make, how long I took for every choice, and the duration and the device that I'm playing on, all kinds of analytics. And that's it. That's a short introduction to Warp Studio. If you want to know more about Warp Studio or want to book a demo, please visit our website. And that brings me to the last question, how to win over clients or stakeholders. And of course, you can use everything that I already shared with you so far, but I have 2 more important tips. And I use this slide again for the first tip. And it may sound obvious, but it's so important. Start researching what the training challenges are. This way you can offer the right solution. The right solution that you can offer might be related to place and time independent training, or training of large groups, for instance. And if you found the right solution, my advice is to start small and finish big. This way you can learn along the way and make adjustments if needed. My second tip is make sure that the other person plays a VR training, because it's that moment when people who have experienced a VR training that they really understand what it is. It's the moment when people see the possibilities for themselves. And it can be a challenge to put a VR headset on someone right now due to COVID, but solutions are send a VR headset or letting people play via their mobile phone. You can send a link through Warp Studio, and that's what I'm going to do right now for you, because I have some demos for you to play. So on the next slide, I will show you a QR code that you can scan with your mobile phone, and it will bring you to a website. And you can sign up for the demos by entering your email address. You will receive an email with a 6-digit code, and with a 6-digit code, you can log in into our Warp Play app. It can take up to 5 minutes before you receive that email. After logging in, you can download a demo and play it. It's easy like that. So let's go to the QR code. I will give you some seconds to take your phone and scan the QR code. If you don't have a phone that or don't know how to scan a QR code, I also have a shortened URL underneath it. You can enter. It's the same website with the same demos. And that brings me to my last slide. I've shared a lot, but have not gone into detail with everything. There is much more to tell, and therefore I would like to invite you all to go to our website We have several interesting blogs like these ones, also about the difference between e-learning and scenario-based learning. And we have different videos. So, and you can always contact us for questions or ideas. So that's it. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Danny. That was incredibly informative. I feel like I'm ready to go and create great corporate VR trainings, and Warp VR looks like it's come quite a long way. And again, like Danny said, anybody that's interested in learning more, feel free to go to their website. If you want to learn more about Insta360 products, you can go to insta360.com. And if you have questions for Danny and I, feel free to reach out to both of us. Just to conclude, it really immersive learning is here to stay. It's going to get even better as the technology continues to evolve. A few years ago, something like this was not even possible with the off-the-shelf camera technology that was there. Insta360 has made it possible for a lot of software companies like Warp VR to come in and easily create the content for their end users and for themselves. And they've done a fantastic job doing that. And we're really excited for all of you to go out and do the same. And as a token of our appreciation for joining us in this webinar, we're going to be offering the first 10 Insta360 Pro 2 units at a 10% off discount. So all you need to do is go to store.insta360.com. You add the Pro 2 or whatever bundle of the Pro 2 you want, whether it's just the Pro 2 or with Farsight or the battery kit. We have all sorts of different bundles and kits that you can create. You enter the code at the purchase page and you'll be automatically given the 10% off if you're one of the first 10 people. The shipping and the tax is all included. So we're trying to make the onboarding process a lot easier for all of you guys. And the code's going to be valid for a couple of weeks after this webinar. It should be valid until April 7th. If you decide on the 8th that you want to pull the trigger, just message me and we'll try to honor it for you somehow. So we'll work with you guys. So the final portion of this webinar, we want to do a couple of Q&A. I know we've already taken a lot of your time, and I want to thank Danny again for the exceptional presentation. It was very intricate, and I feel like our webinar attendees have walked away with a ton of knowledge, and I hope you guys all go and try out Warp VR after this webinar. But let's just dive into some of the questions. So Danny, one question that came in for you is, what is the best length of a VR training?
We believe in micro learning, so short bites of learning. And on average, I think you see that a VR training on our platform is about 10 minutes. But we also have the more in-depth trainings that can take up to 30 and 40 minutes. So it really depends on the level that you want to train the employees. But it's more effective to have the topics clear for the employees so they know what to learn in a training. So it's better to cut up a big topic into smaller bites than do a one long training.
Yeah, and generally for anybody that's created professional 360 or immersive content, it's the same, right? You don't want to give people a full movie. You want to give them something that they can easily digest. So right there with you, Danny. Another question for you that came in is, let's see here. There were so many, and thank you all again for all of your great questions. What is the main challenge or challenges while creating VR training?
I would say it's the difference between an e-learning and making a scenario-based or VR training. We see VR training as a new way of learning and not just as a new medium to apply what we already know about training. So the challenge is to use it differently. And when I teach people with a lot of e-learning experience, it really takes a few moments for them to switch into the other perspective on the new way of learning. But when it happens, that's so valuable because then they can create it themselves. So I think that's the main challenge while creating a VR training.
Thanks, Danny. And then we're running a tiny bit low on time, so I think let's get to one more question from your side, and then there's one general one that came in after that. I think we'll wrap it. How do you handle accessibility? This is an interesting one.
Yeah, we have the multiple platform approach. So you can play the VR training on mobile, on tablets, VR headsets, and there are a lot of VR headsets sold right now. And of course, that's on the playing part, but it's also on the creating part. And that's why we, at the beginning, started Warp VR to make it easy, enable others to create VR trainings. And together with the great cameras of Insta360, it's now very easy to create those trainings. So I think on both sides they are important for the exhibit. We need more VR trainings, of course, and we need easy ways to play VR trainings.
Yeah, so that's actually, I would say that's super important, right? There's not everyone has a VR headset, and if you don't worry about it. You'll still be able to ingest whatever VR training you're getting. Obviously, like Danny said, if you have a headset and you can immerse yourself in the experience, there's going to be a lot of benefits to doing that. But if you're creating the content for a large group of people, you can't expect every single person to have a headset, and so that'll easily translate to other platforms. So thanks for that, Danny. So the last question that came in, and this to me is the broadest and one of the most interesting, is what are some of the other use cases that immersive learning can be applied to? And Danny talked a lot about corporate trainings and what it can do for various companies across the board. But what's interesting is that it's not just corporations that we're seeing that are doing VR trainings. It's all sorts of industries. And one in particular that really stands out at me is medical training. And within medical training, there's so many different benefits to doing immersive learning, and the main one is for surgical students. So teaching surgery remotely without having to overcrowd surgery rooms, and the list goes on within that industry. There's also others. Danny mentioned some great examples from oil and gas companies that are his clients, to create a more safe work environment and to teach employees how to properly care for different facilities. There's also examples, fun examples, like Disneyland. They're teaching their tour guides in all of their parks how to drive and talk at the same time. And it might not seem like such a complicated task, but when you're trying to host a group of 20 or 30 or even more people, it can become overwhelming. And so giving them the experience that they need in an immersive environment up front is really benefiting, and it's creating a safer and more well-rounded experience. And that's just one of many. There's emergency responders who are creating learning, like Danny shared. There's engineering examples. Within the airline industry, I think there's multiple different segments that are benefiting from it. Pilot training and flight attendant training for different protocols, and even engineers are getting trained remotely on how to repair and service aircrafts. It's quite awesome. And the final one is I'm seeing a lot of folks that are joining from the education space. You all are probably thinking about how can I apply this to the different verticals within my institution. And I think the education space is the most broad that there is. You can be an archaeology professor and giving your students a remote immersive learning experience. You can be any number of teachers or professors who want to create more immersive subject matter for their students. You can pretty much apply it. If you guys really want to learn more about some great use cases and verticals that are up and coming, I urge you all to visit insta360.com/enterprise. We have a great collection of different resources available for you to deep dive into what's possible with not just VR learning, but VR in general, and what you can achieve with a 360 camera. And you can follow us at Insta360 across all social media, and you can follow Warp VR at warp_VR. And again, we really thank you all for joining us for this session. We hope you found this information as useful as I did, especially from Danny's side. And if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to us anytime. We're available to to listen to your particular use case and how we can support you. And big thank you to Danny again for all of your great insights and Warp VR. And we're excited to see what Warp is going to continue to evolve into in the future. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.